Welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how to make a summer cardigan. This tutorial is geared for confident beginners. In this tutorial, I will explain how to customize this cardigan for your size. I use US crochet terms. You need to know how to chain, treble, treble decrease, and single crochet. I'm using Sugar Lily and Cream in the color Overcast twists and only use 4 skeins. The cardigan I'm making is large. Now let's get started. We're starting on the back panel. It will end up being a rectangle or a square depending on your size. I will be chaining 61. You may need to chain more or less depending on your size. To discover how many chains you need, make a long chain that covers your back plus half of each side of your body. Whatever that number is, make it an odd number. An alternative is laying a shirt down and using it as a guide on how wide you want your cardigan to be. I'll meet up with you once I have my 61 chains complete and you have as many chains as you need. I've made my 61 chains. Make sure you end up with an odd number once again. I'm going to chain 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to make a treble into the 5th chain from the hook. This chain 4 and this treble is going to count as 1 treble. I'm going to continue to make 1 treble in each chain across. I'm going to end up with 61 trebles because that's the number of chains I began with. So depending how many chains you started with, that's how many trebles you're going to end up with. I will meet you at the end of this row. I finished my trebles for my first row. Now I'm going to chain 3. This is not going to count as a treble. We're going to flip it over and we're going to make a treble into that same space. Now these 2 count as 1. We're going to chain 1, skip 1, and into the next stitch, make a treble. We are going to continue to repeat that all across. Chain 1, skip 1, and into the next. Chain 1, skip 1, and into the next. Continue to repeat this across, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. I am towards the end. All I have left is my chain 1 that I have to make, and now I have to make a treble into the last stitch. So these 2 are from when I started and I said they count as 1 stitch. So right in there is my last treble. We're starting on row 3. Chain 3 and turn, make a treble into that same stitch. From here on out, these 2 will always count as 1 treble. Now for the remaining of row 3, we're going to place 1 treble in each stitch across. It's a little tricky to go through the chain space from the previous row, so just be patient and do your best. And continue to place 1 treble in each stitch across for row 3. For the remaining rows, we're going to continue to alternate these last 2 rows we just did until we like the length of our back panel. I'm going to stop at 23 rows. Decide how many rows you want to stop at by measuring your back panel on yourself until you like the length. I will meet you once my back panel is complete. I completed my 23 rows, so my back panel has 61 stitches across. For the 2 front panels, I can't divide 61 evenly, so I'm going to do 31 stitches across for each side because I need an odd number. Do something similar for your cardigan, ending up with an odd number. I'm going to demonstrate how the front panels are constructed with my other cardigan. We're going to start from the bottom going up, the first chunk of rows are going to have no decreases. I'm going to start decreasing once I measure that I have gotten to the top of my chest. I do this by placing the back panel on the front side of my body and placing a stitch marker or bobby pin on the panel where I'd like the curving neckline to start, which is above my chest. From then on, I will begin my alternating decreasing rows. To start the left side of the front panel, I'm chaining 31 because, like I previously said, that's about half of 61. You will be chaining a different number depending what your back panel total number was. Make sure it's an odd number as close as your back panel. Once you're done chaining as many as you need, you are going to chain 4 more. And into the 5th stitch, you're going to make a treble. That chain 4 and that 1 treble count as 1 stitch. Then you're going to continue to make 1 treble in each stitch across. Once you're done with row 1, start row 2 like you did previously with the pattern of treble, chain 1, skip 1, and treble. Then you're going to be alternating these 2 rows back and forth like we did previously until you get to the top of your chest. For me, I will do 12 rows. However many you do, just make sure your last row is a row with the gap stitches. I'll meet you once I'm there. I finished my 12 rows. I need 11 more rows to complete my front panel. I will begin my alternating decreasing rows now. I chained 3. I usually would make another treble in the same stitch, but I'm not on my decreasing rows. So I will place a treble in the next stitch, and these 2 will count as 1 decrease. I will make 1 more decrease, and so I will have 2 decreases total. And then for the rest of the row, I will place 1 treble in each stitch. So I will meet you at the end of the row. Make sure you just made 2 decreases in the beginning, and for the rest, there's no decreases. For the next row, we are going to start off by chaining 3, turn, and make 1 treble into the same stitch. Chain 1, skip a stitch, and into the next stitch we're making a treble. This row will have no decreases, so chain 1 again, skip 1, and a treble into the next stitch. Continue all the way across. I'll meet you at the end. I'm starting on row 15. Start by chaining 3, turn your work, and place 1 treble into the next stitch, which means this is a decrease row. These 2 will count as 1 decrease. Then you will make 1 more decrease in the next 2 stitches for a total of 2 decreases. And for the remaining row, you will place 1 treble in each stitch. I will meet you at the end of the row. For the next 5 rows, we will alternate rows 14 and 15. Row 14 was our no decrease row with the gaps, and row 15 is our 2 decreases in the beginning of the row. I'll meet you in the beginning of row 21. We can now see that the neckline is taking shape. I am now on the beginning of row 21. I need a total of 23 rows to complete my front panel. For row 21, 22, and 23, I will continue the pattern with no more decreases. So I will meet you once I'm done. My left front panel is complete. I am now going to attach this panel to the back panel since my yarn is still attached. So I flip my panels inside out, and then I will be making single crochets from one side to the other, making sure I have both panels on my hook. People do this differently. I like to make single crochets. Some people do slip stitches, or maybe if you want to use a needle with your yarn. However you like to sew them together, go ahead and do that. I finished attaching my left front panel. Now I will begin on my right side panel. So this panel is practically the same. I did my 12 rows, and now I will begin to decrease. The only difference is that the treble decreases will be on the left side of my row instead of the right side. So for row 13, my yarn is at the right side of my panel, and I will be going straight down. And when I get to the last 4 stitches, I will make 2 decreases. And then I will go up and make no decreases. Then I will go up to my decrease row and make no decreases until I get to the very end of the row and make my decreases. And then I will continue doing basically what I did for my left panel, except I'll do it on the opposite side for my neckline to be curved at the right spot. So I'll meet you once you're done with the right panel. I just finished the second panel. My yarn ends here. I could cut it off and sew from here to here, but I don't like cutting my yarn if I don't have to. So since I know these are 23, I'm going to count my back panel to the 23rd, combing this way, and then attach them, of course putting it inside out so that it's all nice and neat. So your numbers might be different. Just keep that in mind when you sew yours. The next step is to close the sides and leave a hole for your arm. So try this on and place a stitch marker at the bottom of the armpit hole. When I made my green cardigan, I made the mistake of not sewing the side high enough. This made the armhole too big, and I was too lazy to go back and sew the side higher. Instead, I made decreases on the arm, which made it look a bit weird. So for this cardigan, I will go higher to avoid making any decreases on the arm. I'm ready to sew the side shut. I have already flipped my work inside out. So since these trebles are horizontal now, I will be placing 2 single crochets in each horizontal treble, and that's how I will be closing my 2 panels shut. I already began placing 2 single crochets in each horizontal treble. If your tension is a bit tighter than mine, you might need to make 3 single crochets in each treble. I finished closing up each side. This might look like a vest, but once you try it on, it will have a small capped sleeve. This can also be a finished look, and then all you have to do is make the row for the ties in the front. If you want to skip the long sleeves, I'll add the time to skip to so that you could start the tied strings. For the long sleeves, I'm going to attach my yarn at the bottom of the armpit hole, and I will make 1 treble decrease. And for the remaining stitches, I'll be making 2 trebles in each stitch for the remaining row. So I'm inserting my hook at the right side of the bottom of the armhole and chaining 3. 1, 2, 3. I'm making a treble into the next stitch. This counts as a treble decrease. Now for the remaining stitches, I will be placing 2 trebles in each horizontal stitch. And continue to repeat this around until you're done with row 1 of the arm. I'll meet you when I'm done. We are on row 2 of the sleeve. Go ahead and chain 3 and make a treble into the same stitch. We're back to the rows of no decreases. After your treble, chain 1, skip a stitch, and place a treble into the next stitch. Continue to repeat this pattern all around. We're going to continue to alternate these row 1 and row 2 of the sleeves until you like the length of your sleeve. I finished my sleeves and I realized that my armhole was not an odd number, so my gapped row was not even. So you can see that I should have made a gap right here, but instead I made a slip stitch to the next row. This is at the bottom, so it won't be visible. This is why I like to start always at the bottom in case I encounter an error. My last step is to make the row for the string ties. But before I do that, I feel like this color that I used looks bland, so I'm trying to save it. So I'm going to add a border of black single crochets to the sleeves. And then I'll also use black for the string tied row. Now for my green cardigan, I did not add a single crochet row to the sleeves because I liked how the green looked. But for this one, I will. This is how my border is starting to look. Now for the corner stitch, I want to explain what I did. So I made one single crochet and then I chained 2, another single crochet, and 2 more single crochets into that same horizontal treble. And then for each horizontal treble, as I went up, I made 2 single crochets, just how we've done in the past when we have encountered these stitches. From here, I stopped on row 12. Right above it is the first decrease row. So right here, I'm going to stop and I'm going to start making the string. Go ahead and chain 45. Once you're at your 45 chains, you're going to make a slip stitch in the second chain from the hook. I'm going to be making slip stitches all the way down. Some people do single crochets, or they do the single crochets in the back hump of the chain. Whatever you prefer, go ahead and do that. I will be making slip stitches. I finished my slip stitches. From here, continue to make 2 single crochets in each horizontal stitch all around. Once you get to the other side, at the bottom of row 13, counting bottom to top, you're going to chain 45, slip stitch down, and make 2 single crochets till you finish your cardigan. We have finally finished. The black detail really helped make it look put together. I hope this tutorial was easy to follow along. This tutorial is a bit different than what I'm used to because it is customizable and your number count was different than mine. I hope you loved your finished product. Please comment below what color scheme you're making your summer cardi in. Also, please tag me on Instagram or TikTok on your finished cardis and I will repost it. That is all for now. Thank you for watching. Till next time.